كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ أو كما قال صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Brothers and sisters listening at home, there are 5 elements that you need. There are 5 elements that you need in your life for you to be in your element. What I mean by that is for you to be in your element in reference to your health. The 5 key elements that you need in this particular order is a super nutritious, rich, healthy diet. That's right at the top. You get that right, everything else will follow. You get that wrong, everything else will just collapse. The second thing is some form of physical activity. At least 30 minutes every single day. That can be 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, but you've got to have regular physical activity in your life. The third thing is stress management. Stress kills. Notoriously agreed upon from our medical professionals. Stress kills. So it's really important to have some form of mechanism to manage stress, manage your emotional health, your mental health. The fourth thing is sleep. Favorite pastime. To try and incorporate at least 7 hours minimum, ideally 7 to 9 over a 24-hour period. That's a fundamental element for you to be in your element in terms of your health. And the fifth thing, which is why we're here today, is avoiding substance misuse. If you do these 4 things, you have a super rich, healthy diet, you're physically active, you manage your stress really, really well, your emotional health, your mental health, you have a good sleep pattern, but you incorporate some form of substance misuse into your life, everything else goes out the window. So approximately 1 in 5 adults in this country. So substance misuse, commonly it's understood as what? When we say substance misuse, what is it commonly understood as? Drugs or alcohol, right? Smoking, vaping, stuff like that, right? So what we as medics, what we've incorporated in avoiding substance misuse or behavioral misuse is anything that's regarded as being addictive type of behavior. Does that make sense? Anything that's addictive type of behavior can be like slotted into that little element of misuse of substances or behavior. And this is where the concept of addictions kick in. So an addiction is use of a substance or taking something or even doing something, a behavior that is compulsive, uncontrolled, despite knowing, so understand this, despite knowing, believing the negative, harmful impact this will have on a human being. So that's what you term as addictive type of behavior. And what we're seeing now is it's not just drugs and alcohol in terms of addictive type behaviors. What we're seeing more and more is game addiction, so gaming, phone addiction, screen addiction, internet addiction, social media addiction, believe it or not, exercise addiction, shopping addiction. There's a whole list. Unfortunately, it's something that we should talk about openly, I think. Pornography, addiction. People are hooked on these things. So any type of addictive type of behavior, it takes you out of being in your element when it comes to your physical health. You will not be in your element. You won't feel alive. You will not feel healthy if you eliminate any of these 5 things in your life. And we're here to talk about addictive type behaviors and substances because they take over you. And there's so many people who are drowning, like their life has just been taken over by this addiction that they're struggling with. They can't see the wood for the trees. They just can't see the light. So what we're seeing now, if you were to take a snapshot of this country right now, 1 in 5 adults would have tried a drug. That's a huge number. Did you know Leicester last year? Leicester came right at the top of the country for most arrests because of drug-related crimes. In the country, there was an 80% increase last year compared to the year before in Leicester. 80% increase minimum. So But if you look at some of the other things, just have a wild guess. How many teenagers would you say, young people say, are addicted to their phones? If you were to give a percentage, how many would you say? Close, 75. How many adults, say percentage-wise? 61%. Admittedly, I'm addicted to my phone. I'm addicted to internet. I'm addicted to social media. If you take a snapshot of the world, of this country right now, and this is like, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or not. This is any culture, any race. It's universal. 1 in 2 adults would have viewed something pornographic today. That's a huge number. Huge number. 97% of children admit, my phone is getting in the way of my studies. My phone is getting in the way of my studies. So you can see where the problem is, right? Okay, question. How does it happen? Why does it happen? Now remember this, if you understand this concept in life, of answering the question why or how, well, why, if you want to get something done, you have to ask why, then you have to ask how. Right? Why am I doing something? How do I do it? You get those 2 questions, broadly speaking. If you answer why, how becomes 10 times easy, or even more. So why does it happen? So there's lots of reasons why someone falls into addictive type of behaviors. Again, in no particular order, genetics play a part. If in your genes, that runs in your blood, addictive type of behavior, there's an increased likelihood that your children will have addictive type of behaviors. Moulana was joking with me on the way here. He knows that I have, I'll admit it, an addiction to Tim Hortons coffee, French vanilla. It's really bizarre behavior. If I get an option of going somewhere, I'll Google where's Tim Hortons I'm going. It's just weird, isn't it? Right? And I'll make my way around there just to get a French vanilla. So it can be in your genes. It can be because of mental health reasons, which is one of the biggest reasons. Or if you experience trauma. Because what happens is, it's not nice when you go through something traumatic, when you're going through a turbulent time in your life, a stressful time in your life, you look for ways out. And one of the ways out is escapism. And you just slip into any type of addictive behavior. Then you've got boredom. When you get bored, you just find things to do, and usually the things that you find isn't really serving you, it's not really benefiting you. Then you've got peer pressure. If you're in with the wrong crowd and you just want to fit in, and you haven't got that strong personality to say no, you just slip into it because everybody's doing it. It's what I'm supposed to do, or else I have no friends. Or just having that unfortunate opportunity, you just slip into it. That's just the nitty gritty. But what